and welcome to the MaidPro Henderson Life and Leadership Podcast, where we talk about business, life, and making a difference. And now, your host, the owner of MaidPro Henderson, Michael Amato von Hemmert.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of the MaidPro Henderson Life and Leadership Podcast. Today in the studio we have Adrian, the broker owner of Ornelas Real Estate. Did I say that right?
You said that right.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me.
It's tricky. You're very welcome. Thanks for being here. I know my last name's a little intense as well, so, that's part of the game. So thanks so much for being here, man. I really appreciate you. One of the supporters that we've had from the beginning and had talked a lot about connections and recordings and videos and marketing and real estate and cleaning, all this stuff. So maybe you could just tell the audience a little bit of your origin story and where you grew up and kind of from the get.
So I lived in Las Vegas since the year 2000. So it's
Gotcha.
Officially going to be 20 years this year. So I was 15.
Crazy.
Came from California like everybody else.
Awesome.
Or mostly.
Yeah, good handful.
So I was 15. I went to Cimarron Memorial High School.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people probably know that place. It's in
Yep.
the Northwest. I landed in the Northwest, and that's where I stayed. I never really lived anywhere else in part of the city. So that's where I started at pretty much.
Yeah.
And then from there, I tried a few different things. Definitely real estate was never in my area of interest whatsoever.
Yep.
And in 2006, my father convinced me to get my real estate license.
Really?
Yes. It definitely, like I said, it was definitely not on my goals. I wanted to go. I was going to school for computer science.
Almost like an engineer or something, or like
no, not even that far.
No?
I just
Okay.
wanted to fix the computers and want
Yeah.
to be the when you call the tech guy and they just reboot
okay.
the machine and that's it.
Like a service tech or something.
That's what I was thinking. So
Nice.
and then that same year, so I got my license in 2006, and I still wasn't very serious about it. And
Okay.
so I was still really mainly focused on learning computers, and I was fixing and cleaning them up and getting rid of viruses and things like that. And that lost a lot of interest really fast. Like
Not your thing.
It's really redundant. Now
man.
I pass that on to somebody else.
Okay, gotcha.
And so 2006, I was 21 years old, not much experience at life, at anything at all.
Yeah, just figuring it out.
So, but I was lucky that I did only a couple transactions. And back in those days, which were, if anybody recalls, the Wild West days of real estate, where everything was just high, and there was no rules. If you had a pulse, they gave you a house.
Yep, here you go.
It was that like that, and but I didn't really have a connection with it.
Okay.
The clients that I had were just kind of a coincidence, and not because I did anything really.
Yeah.
So I like to say I didn't do much those years, and then of course 2008, the crash happened. I wasn't even aware that anything was really happening. I just knew that I hadn't really done much, and at the time I had my job with another company here that does photography on the Strip.
Okay.
And I was there for quite a while. I think I finally left 2012.
Okay.
I don't even remember. 2012.
Yeah.
And so I was there while I was doing that. So I like to say that I really started back in 2009, and that was a difficult year. I mean, homes were 50,000, 70,000, 80,000, which is great if you're the buyer.
Right, on the buyer side.
But if you're the agent, it is not very. It's not very good.
Or the owner then, when it was worth a little bit more.
Oh,
and
of
then
course,
took
yeah.
haircut,
No, I mean
right?
the
Yeah.
tragedy
Yeah.
of the entire thing is
Whole
very
system.
much really the saddest part of the whole thing, and it
Yeah.
was just definitely a once in a lifetime thing, I think. And so seeing all of that, I mean, everything you went to see was foreclosures, and even with all of that, I remember putting in offers for clients, maybe about 10, 15 offers a day for clients. So good for the buyer, bad for whomever lost at home.
Yeah.
The agent, we had to do a lot of work just to get one transaction even in.
Okay.
But so those were still very interesting days. So I got to learn a lot, but I didn't close much. I remember the first year I did, out of the about 5 clients that I had, only 2 closed, and one of those, which was my brother, which I
Okay, so you knew
which
that
was
one.
our house. It was which our house that
Man.
we were getting for our family,
Okay.
and then the other client was just somebody that my parents knew.
Okay.
And that one was like pulling nails, and
Yeah.
it only closed by a miracle. The other ones, they couldn't get the loan. So
Mm.
during those days, on top of the pricing, on top of everything that was going on, people losing jobs, people not having hours, it was very, very difficult just to even
Seriously.
have an actual real client. People just weren't making consistent income.
Right.
And a lot of people were unemployed. A lot of all these things that were part of what was going on in the market, really. So, but I got to learn a lot.
So through all of that, I mean, what made you decide to stick it out? Because
Um,
that
you
sounded
know,
a little rough.
I
And
know,
then
right?
You're like, oh, I gotta still do this.
I would tell you, I have no idea, but it's
Wow,
probably
still
what
going.
the reason why we all stay in it, just because it's pretty satisfactory to help somebody actually get to that. And
Yeah.
not only that, but so now as things progressed, and most of my clients were younger, I guess what I thought was younger people like myself in those
Right,
days,
exactly.
24,
Yeah,
25,
yeah.
26,
Fighting the fight.
that they bought the home very young. I mean, my brother, he was 19 when we got that house.
Okay.
So he was so as this time progressed, then eventually those people, started making families and
Sure.
growing out of that, and then possibly buying their second home. And the possibility of seeing that shift, and then also,
Yeah.
seeing them have something good and then turn that into something even better, or just see the progression.
Sure.
It feels good.
Yeah.
And so part of the struggle, and then to actually get to the end point, it actually feels good.
That's cool.
Definitely, I mean, it was a journey.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
quite the journey, and so, and maybe you could tell the audience a little bit about how we got connected.
Oh, yes.
How that all happened.
So our friend Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
So a mutual connection that we had, and
Yeah.
he's seen me also. Probably say I've known him since 2014, and just character, and he's very business centered, and I love business. Just the idea of how things work and how you make something from nothing
Sure.
to something awesome that serves somebody
For sure.
a really good whatever it is.
Yeah, product or
it's
service or
amazing.
whatever
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
And so we always had conversations about either guest service, a product that's good, what's in the market, numbers. He likes all of that. He likes the details of every single little thing. So just picking at his mind was always very interesting. And so every once in a while we connect, and
Yep.
he'll reach out and tell me something new that's happening.
Right.
And so
The updates.
so last year I had a listing, and I don't know if that's kind of what prompted him to think about it. I'm like, oh well, he's creating his business, and then I know he has somebody else that he knows that's creating their business and starting, and always knowing somebody that is having that journey, and then sharing that with somebody else, definitely helping each other always makes a huge difference for all of us.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that a little bit on the podcast, just the power of the hive mind a little bit too, right? And sometimes we end up working in an echo chamber a little bit, and so it's good to get out and find other ways to say, okay, what is someone else thinking about this, or what's their take, and so yeah, I'm really glad that Chris had connected us and saw some of the stuff that you were doing and some of the work you were doing, especially on the marketing side. So we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
That it was like, okay, there's something there. Let's understand sort of what he's trying to do, and building a book of business and finding a following and all of that. So what are, sort of as we sort of wrap up a little bit of the kind of the real estate section of the podcast today, like what do you think are some of the things that maybe the top 3, top 5 things that buyers or potential, current tenants that are looking to buy or interested in buying should be mindful of or aware of, and maybe how they could position themselves for that buy?
Yeah. Well, one of the most important things that always to take into consideration is that the market doesn't shift dramatically, but if you're coming into the market, you will always hear about somebody's experience a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, and that could certainly be very different going from January to March, from March to June.
Interesting.
And so as you're getting started, if you're a buyer, you want to make sure that you ask your agent, the question is about what is the best way to get your end goal of whatever that is. So if you're looking for a fixer-upper, what's the best way to get that? Because sometimes if you think that making a really low-ball offer will get you a really good deal, that might have you on a search for a long time. It might not be the proper time to do that. I always give my clients the option of, if you want to make that offer, sure, let's try it, just so that you know what's gonna happen. Once it happens, then they know. But if you want that house, and now if it's a house you love, and if you really love it after you've already seen either quite a few, or sometimes I've had one client this entire time that first house said, this is the one.
Wow.
And I've never had that happen still now. Yes, I asked them, are you sure you don't want to go see any other homes?
That's incredible.
There's a possibility that, the offer, there might be other offers.
Sure,
and at that time, the
right.
market was pretty busy. But we just made it really competitive, and that was the only house I saw. And they were very, very, very happy till this day.
That's awesome. That's super awesome.
And so if you're going into the market now, just make sure that you ask about the temperature of the market, because that will really help you get the home that you really want. And same thing for the listing side. If you're going to be listing your home, there's times where it doesn't benefit you to be the highest priced home on the block.
Sure. Because
that might just have you on the market for another 3-4 months, and you might lose opportunity to really get a good buyer on that, because right now it's a good balance where it's not that much of a buyer's market, it's not that much of a seller's market, it's in between. So getting the temperature of the market at the moment, and then not overreaching or underreaching too much will definitely be the best option that you could do when you're out there either listing or buying.
Nice. Awesome. No, thank you for that insight. I appreciate it. So, and thanks to everybody that's watching, whether it's home or listening on any of the podcast apps. If you're on YouTube checking us out, I appreciate all the views and support. Appreciate Adrian being here. Again, this is the MaidPro Henderson Life and Leadership Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break. All right, everyone, we are back with the MaidPro Henderson Life and Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and in studio today we have Adrian. He's the broker-owner of the Ornelas Real Estate Group, and just wanted to kind of pivot and shift gears. We've been talking about his origin story in real estate and all the good stuff there, and one of our favorite topics to talk about is marketing. That's where we've had quite a bit of conversations, and just kind of curious, Adrian, on your take, and maybe to share with the audience. We have community partners, supporters, referral partners, possible clients, other people that are out there in the community, and kind of always curious to learn other people's take on marketing and how do we get awareness, and maybe some of your thoughts on what's working well or what you think people could be doing more of.
I always think it really just depends on the type of company it is, the type of business that it is, and ultimately what either that individual or the company is trying to do, that ultimately which route to take, because there's different ways of doing it. And so everybody has who they want to reach, how far out they want to blanket whatever it is that they're throwing out there, and really your target audience, right?
Sure.
Because I think everybody has one, depending on what it is, because that usually it's the reason why social media is so great, because you could actually target really well whom you want your message to reach out to. For me, myself, when I started putting things out, it's going to be 2 years now where I really started making videos. And if you see my very first video, completely different to what it is now. It's like a different person.
Wow. Okay, cool.
But my idea that I had then was that most of the time, since I've been doing this, most of the people that I've helped has been, I call it organic, because it's just referral after referral, and return clients, friends, family, all that together. And that is, I'd say, my comfort zone.
Right.
And so being able to do that, I just thought, what's a good way to stay in touch with the people that I don't get to see as much because of work, life. Everybody's schedules is different. As we've been getting older, we don't have that much free time because people have families, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Jobs, careers, all that together. So I thought, what's a really cool way of doing that? And everybody's on there regardless all the time. So I thought it'd be a good way to say hi to everybody without maybe having to go there. And ultimately, what I found for myself is that making that connection definitely made a difference because a lot of times people would reach out to me like, hey, do you still do real estate? And I was like, of course.
Yeah.
And now
It's
it's 100% that there's no question about it because they see me, showing everything that I do. And to me, I can't really tell you the conversion of it, how good it's been or not. But I can tell you that the business has been very good for me the last couple of years, and of course it could be more. And like I said, it's my comfort zone. Now to come out of that, there's far other things that I got to do, and such as this, making new connections, and then getting other people's perspective. But ultimately, as far as other businesses go, depending on what you're trying to do, it could be very, very useful. And everybody loves looking at it, and as long as you could reach the right person at the right time, it'll definitely pay out. I've met a lot of different people in the last 2 years that I probably wouldn't have known them if it wasn't for that. I've met people out of state.
Okay.
I've met people from no, definitely not different countries, but you'll see that pop up every once in a while.
Sure.
And then you see everybody's progression on it as well too, and that's always interesting. And I've met people that I've met there, and then I see them at conferences and different things like that.
Right, or if it's been a couple of years ago, and then now it's sort of that process.
And so it's very cool. I've also met people that they know somebody that knows somebody, right, that referred me, that they saw me on there, and eventually they made that connection through there. And I always get asked questions also too by other people that may not be in my circle, but they reach out, and I'm always glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, I call it big city, small town.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially like looking at that audience that's there, and there's, I think a lot of it is also like a philosophical belief. Like, you believe your client is there, right? Like on social media, spending their time there, whether it's Facebook or any other platform, or Instagram, and it's like kind of the same thing. I think that our client is there too, so we're now trying to figure out how to best communicate to them.
Yeah.
And so, you're able to make only so many pieces of content, or so many things. There's only so many hours in the day. So how do you feel that it's been helpful to reuse the same things, or do you take the same thing and sort of put it in different pieces, or?
So without a doubt, when I first started, I thought that, and depending also what it is that you're doing, right? I mean, for me,
true.
If I was to post something that I had 2 years ago, the prices have dramatically changed. Well, not dramatically, but have changed quite a bit from 2 years ago. So I can't show you a $300,000 home from 2 years ago because now it's probably at least $350,000.
Okay, I see.
To give you an idea. But any information that and that took me a little while to provide any detailed information about just how certain things work.
Okay.
And the dynamic of it and the rules and just the basics of it.
Yeah.
Those are just things that could definitely be reused again and again.
Okay.
And at first I thought it was silly because I thought, well, why am I going to show this again to somebody? But what I found is that a lot of times some people may not get the message that time right there and then.
Right, or the algorithm didn't show it to them or something, and they gotta see.
Exactly. Or even
I've had passes the same person.
Yeah, or we forget things. I mean, they saw that was one of 1,000 things that they saw that day, but I've had where I know that either they give me a comment, a like, whatever it is that time ago, and then later on it became useful for them when I did it again. And that showed to me that it makes sense to repeat that, and also it comes down to the time to create all this. This is all very time consuming.
Sure.
It definitely takes a lot of dedication to also do that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been spending a couple of months to get this to come together. So.
Yeah. So all that together, and so being able to have that like in the storage to be able to use it is very, very valuable. So you definitely I would recommend it. Structure it so where you could reuse it, and you'll see that it makes sense.
Well, and it's interesting too. One of the perspectives on it was like looking at, if the content is about education or entertainment, right? Like, so, or maybe both.
Yeah.
That if you're able to sit there and have that information and you're informing the audience, then people will, they'll let that, that's something that they're going to want to watch again, because they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, or maybe I didn't think of it that way, or whatnot, and kind of to understand it. Or if it's, it's just a little way to escape from the craziness of life and see what's going on in the real estate world, like, why not?
Yeah.
So cool. No, I think it's great. I'm glad that it's working well for you and building the brand and building the business. So what are some of the things that for you, like outside of work or community interests or things that you're doing or anything that's kind of moving and shaking that you're interested in?
I feel bad every time this question comes up, because I've been so dedicated to just working, and pretty much every time I feel sometimes I'm a little bit too dedicated to each client, and over the years I've found ways to kind of like let go a little bit. A lot of times it's not as I want to say serious as you think it is, because you're trying to provide something good, so that, because always when you're doing a transaction is you want everybody to win, and you want your client to also win, so then you're concerned about that.
Sure.
So over the time, I've done it less, and then as I've done it less, I've also been able to help more people. But overall, as far as community goes, the only thing I could really say that is anybody that I meet, I try to just show them the importance of either owning or what to do with what you have, so that ultimately you could pass that on to somebody else, so that it benefits you. And I think that mindset helps us create a better life for us in the future, and that is the only thing I could really say that I try to definitely...
The legacy play.
Yes, because I just don't have that much time to actually go and do things where I wish I could donate the time. I mean, if anybody ever asks me to go and talk to us about this, I would love to go and do that and give the time for that.
Right.
But I definitely I wish I could volunteer on
trenches,
Saturdays.
man.
I wish I
going.
could volunteer on Sundays on things. But it's very, very difficult to actually get the time for it.
And I think you have you're in growth mode mindset too, right? So it's pushing those things, reinvesting that time back into the machine, right, into your real estate world, and so totally understand. And I think there's a lot of interesting ways that are sort of fringe real estate, right? Whether it's other organizations are tied to it or going to those events, and you're still in that ecosystem all the time.
Without a doubt. I mean, the association itself, they donate quite a bit, and they throw quite a few events. So what I notice is that, I may not be doing it, but a lot of people in our field definitely do, and they're already at a different platform. But I definitely know that when I reach what I want to reach, and I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more than what I'm doing now. So.
There you go. Hey, little by little, it's the same for us. So a little selfishly, like one of the reasons too that we connected was that we're a cleaning company, and you're in the real estate world, and we clean real estate. So there's sort of an angle there. Maybe you could tell some of the viewers sort of your take on the value of a cleaning company, or how it could work for either real estate or move-ins or clients.
It's very, very valuable. When you're a homeowner, you find out, and most people find this out when they start to thinking about selling or listing, because everything in a home, whether you're renting or you own it, it requires maintenance. And so the more you let things go little by little, it piles on and piles on. It's like not doing laundry.
Exactly.
You wait 3 weeks, now you don't have any laundry, now you gotta do laundry, now you're in trouble. And so this happens when you're taking care of your home. If you definitely don't clean that glass, that shower glass often, it'll definitely start getting spots that are very, very difficult to take out, which in turn it affects your resale value later. And maintaining your home definitely it should be a must to everybody, and something that you should take into consideration. It's just part of living, and the less that you take care of it, the worse it's going to be later. So if you have the services of a cleaning company that consistently does that, it's invaluable just for your lifestyle, headaches, stress, and then ultimately when it comes time to resell that home. The difference walking into a home where it has been cleaned and you could tell that it's been maintained, it's a humongous difference when
Night
people are
dark.
walking in there.
Night-
They
night
fall
day.
in love with the house. They're like, do people even live here?
Wow.
And if you
Yeah.
could maintain your home that way, or have a company that does that for you, it's amazing. And even if you say you haven't done it right, but now you're thinking about getting that started, if
Yeah.
you're listing your home and you want to have a regular, relaxed life at the same time, hire a MaidPro so that they could come in and maintain your home while you're having it on the market, because it's going to
True.
make a huge difference when people come and look at it. And you're not going to be worried about having to clean everything before you're trying to show it, because that's one of the most difficult things, is just trying to get people to actually have the home in showing condition.
Ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. No, I appreciate that. It's great insight, and those are the kind of people that we're looking for too. It's
Yeah.
great. So, as we wrap up, we're sort of still working on our sign off and kind of the different bit, but
Okay.
it's one of those things that's always interesting to me, is sort of the question of the day. As we build the audience, and sort of there might be something as you're building your business and things are going on, that you might wish you knew more about, or from the audience. So if you could ask them a question, sort of that question of the day, final thoughts.
Yes.
What you got?
My question to the audience would be, as a real estate agent, as a broker, because everybody, I like to say, everybody and their mom knows a real estate agent.
So true.
I would like to ask the question, what makes you, if it's not somebody that you know,
Right.
or somebody recommended, or somebody that you consistently see their commercial on TV run over and over and over again, what made you choose that agent over the other 100 million agents here in Las Vegas?
Awesome. Great question of the day. Adrian, thanks again. Audience, thanks again. You guys are the best. This is Michael, MaidPro Henderson, Life and Leadership Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.
This has been another episode of the MaidPro Henderson Life and Leadership Podcast. MaidPro Henderson is a professional home cleaning company focused on monthly, bi-weekly, and weekly cleaning services to give you more time back in your schedule for the things you care about. For a free estimate, call 702-534-6701 or visit maidpro.com/Henderson-NV. Thank you for listening. For more info, tips, and tricks, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform.